Alright, welcome to the channel. My name is Cody. I guess known as Coach Cody on the internet world. So, what I want to do real quick is just do a brief little breakdown of where we are in the United States and bring into some truths about what's happening. Of course, I'll be interested to find out if this video actually makes it or not. But I am going to be speaking truths and doing the best that I can to share facts. This isn't pre-recorded or anything. I wrote a handful of things down right here, and here on my computer I have the a brief version of the Bill of Rights, just to give you guys an outline of where we are and what we need to be doing. So I'm going to start with, first and foremost, when I was 18, about 11 years ago now, just under 11 years is the actual timeline, my oldest son was born, and his mother and I broke up. And according to the laws in this country right now, essentially she is automatically determined, because I signed the birth certificate, and by signing the birth certificate it essentially states right in there that the mother is going to get custody if you guys aren't together. And I understand that there's some basis behind why these laws were created, and I do get that. But what I'm getting at here is, this is one of the most grotesque forms of tyranny this country could ever come up with. Now let me explain why. I'm going to go down this list of amendments, and each one that's being violated of my rights, I'm going to explain how that's happening and why it's been happening. And now what we need to understand here, and I'm going to make this clear as day, the things that are going on are, there's a manipulation and a taking advantage of the rules and laws that are in place. So what I'm saying is, there's been a willful and coordinated effort to essentially abuse and take advantage of the gray areas of our rights, of our Constitution, of the Declaration of Independence, and pretty much of the laws that are in place that actually abide by the Constitution. Because what we need to get squared here is, our government, the people of the government, don't have any right at all to create a law that violates the Constitution. So or the Bill of Rights, the rights of the people in general. So let's refer to the very first amendment: freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. Okay? So in this case, we already can see on the bigger scale how things are being abused with these type of things. You know, for example, if this video stays up, then my rights won't be violated. But if it's taken down, well, that's a violation of my rights. I have a right to free speech, to literally say what I want to say. And when that is canceled by a YouTube or any other internet entity, that entity is saying, my rules supersede your freedom, the laws of this country. And that's where we get into these violations on that. And this is happening all around. I follow a number of doctors, in fact, including Rand Paul, who is, I think he's Kentucky's senator, but he's a senator for the United States of America. And he's the one leading the charge on the acknowledgement of truth when it comes to the medical bases of what's happening in the bigger scale of today. Number two, we're seeing right now, we're actively in this with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Now, first and foremost, it is clear as day. Like, there isn't even a question that what happened in the actual killing events, that where he killed people, was self-defense. There is no question about that at all. Now, we can all agree, I think, hopefully, that it's pretty ignorant, stupid, childish for him to have even been there in the first place. Okay, we can all agree on that. Now, that's from a perspective of preserving himself, keeping himself out of harm's way. But if we look at it from a moral perspective, which is how I'm compassed and that's how I orientate myself, it's clear as day he was doing his duty. He's doing what everyone should be doing. Like, clearly, it is wide open. He had a med bag. He's got himself protected with his weapon. And he's out there openly, all throughout these videos that I've watched, the videos that were provided. Every single time, he's respectful, he's kind, he's openly telling people he's friendly, he's not here to cause any problems. In fact, he's openly telling people, I'm here to help. Do you need any medical service? I have things in my bag I can help you with. You don't need any certifications or law degree or medical degrees or to be an EMT. You don't need any of that to help a fellow citizen. It wasn't that long ago where you would the one positive things you would see on the news is, oh, something bad happened, but then the fellow citizen came and saved the day. They did something beyond themselves to save the day. We used to praise that. We used to look at that as being American. Yes, good on you, guy. Thank you so much. You helped that cat out of the tree, or that mom and child out of their burning house. Whatever the case may be, when you put your own life at risk for someone else, that needs to, for sure, be something that's praised. And in this case, with the Rittenhouse case, he wasn't necessarily protecting anybody else's life, but he was protecting his own, which is, if we don't see that as a very right, then we are farther along the tyranny train than we think. So I'm going to leave it simple. It's the right to keep and bear arms. The people will always have that right, and the reason for it, the intention, the historical intention is clear. It is to prevent tyranny. It is to ensure the governmental entity, which is inevitably going to become tyrannical, doesn't. That is the whole purpose of the Second Amendment. It's so we, the people, can stand up, unite, and say, wait a minute, the direction this is going is not good, we don't like it, we're going to bring it back to reality, and then we'll move forward. And that's where, in all likelihood, we've gone too far on both ends. Again, I'll refer to the censorship on the internet. All eyes are on the computer, all eyes are on the TV. That's clear as day being controlled by individuals who have lost their moral compass, who have lost, frankly, their sanity. Because if we were to start talking about these vaccines, history clearly shows vaccines are not why human beings walk this earth right now. And for you to sit here and try to proclaim that now with these emergency powers is so vastly inaccurate. It's not even funny. Uh-oh. We're getting fancy. Oh, hopefully that still plays. I plugged my phone in before making this. The battery was low, but I didn't actually turn on the charger. Anywho, what we're referring to here, we'll move on. Okay, the reason why I'm passionate about this is, firstly, this is our country. This is my children's future that we're talking about here. This is your children's future, your children's children's future. This is the future of the world. And if we don't get this under control, if we don't get a grasp on reality again and how fragile we are as people, as a society, it's not going to look great. Number 3, the Third Amendment, which, again, these are your rights as a citizen of the United States. No quartering of soldiers in a peaceful time, meaning the government can never make you host soldiers in your house during a time of peace. That's more related to the times. I don't think that's something that is likely to take place in today's world. But back then, it was a real thing that needed to be addressed, and I'm grateful it was. There's a good efficacy there. Number 4, freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures. So this is where we're going to get into the Second Amendment that's been violated by the friend of the court system and the laws in place. I don't know if I mentioned on this video or not, but essentially, freedom from unreasonable search and seizures. About 6 years ago, I experienced some hardships on all levels, including finances. Now I'm obligated by the court, by the law. Okay, again, this law violates the Constitution to pay child support. Now I went a few months without paying, and subsequently, my vehicle was booted and sent to auctioned off for a fraction of its value to be applied to my past due support, which, mind you, we're talking like, I want to say max, for sure, a maximum of $2,500. $2,500. I mean, I went to jail. I was jailed for it. And additionally, my car was booted and sold to auction by the friend of the court. Now, this is their law, the rules of the law. That is what they're supposed to do. The law incentivizes them to get child support. It doesn't incentivize them to do what's in the child's best interest, like it claims. Like, that's the big mask, right? Oh, it's all about the child's best interest. But underneath, when you actually understand the laws, you can look up Title 4D of the Social Security Act. I want to say it was in 1975 when that was enacted. And that will tell you clear as day what's happening here and why it's happening. Now, how these laws got passed, I'm uncertain. Who passed them and why, I'm uncertain as well, because there isn't much information on that type of stuff, and that's really what we need to know. What was the mindset here? Why did we go about this? So, and the reason why we need these things as a requirement for the laws that get put in place is so later down the road, as the humanity progresses and as we become more and more enlightened as a whole, because that's what we're doing, right? When you bring a society up, you're taking them out of poverty, you're taking them out of struggles and bringing them to more comfort. Naturally, humans are going to grow. They're going to grow in their mind, they're going to grow in their spirit, they're going to understand things better than before when they were constantly in poverty, constantly struggling. And that's what this war is really about. And I want to make sure this is clear, because this is already a war, whether we want it or not. It's a war on our minds, it's a war on our freedoms, and it's quickly getting out of hand because everyone's got their attention on the screen. So for me, freedom from unreasonable search and seizure, me being behind a couple months on child support because I'm going through a financial hardship, how does that make me a criminal? How does that make it right that my car gets booted and sent to auction and I am jailed for literally a couple grand? You know what I'm saying here? $2,500. So, and it's only a few months. I think it was 4 months in total, if you want to get to the efficacy of the situation. And then we moved to the fifth one, right to due process of law, freedom from self-incrimination, double jeopardy. I have no right to due process of law when it comes to these civil case. This is where this gray area, the skating is taking place on the most grotesque scale. And the reason why it's the most grotesque is because this is the brainwashing of your child. They're being brainwashed to believe that these things are okay and normal and this is how it's going to be through the television, through the advertising, through the propagandas of the day that we live in. We need to understand that freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures, right? So what's happened now is a judge, the amount is $500, by the way, by law. So as soon as the non-custodial parent is $500 behind in support, they are subjected to, by law, the potential of having a warrant out for their arrest because they haven't paid it. Now, in most cases, that's 1 month. That's one missed payment. 1 month, $500. Child support, one missed payment. And you could have a warrant out for your arrest and you can go to jail. Your car can be taken and taken. Am I not making this clear? That is a violation, clear as day, of freedom, of the laws of nature. That's saying some random guy who wears a black robe can sign my life away because I'm not paying another person the money that that same guy in the black robe made me pay. Like, we need to really break this down as simple as can be. I am a free human being walking this spinning ball of insanity. The government has no right under any circumstance to be like, oh, hey, yeah, we can just make these laws up, and even though they violate your rights in the Constitution, we're going to enforce them, and we're going to trick the police to enforcing it too, because the police also have an oath, and that oath is to the people, and to the Constitution, and to the laws that are in line with the Constitution. Because if anyone recognizes a law that's not in line with the Constitution, it is not to be obeyed. It is not a law. It's not real. It's an illusion. It's a piece of paper that somebody came up with, and then thousands and millions of people said, all right, fine. Hello? Time to wake up, man. Number 5, right to due process of law, self-incrimination. I just said that one. Number 6, right of accused persons to have a speedy and public trial. So, in this case, for me, I was accused of not paying my obligation of child support. But it wasn't just that I'm accused. I was accused, found guilty, and sentenced based off of a signature. I want you to think about that, because I have been in jail for this. I had my car taken 2015, 6 years ago, under these laws of tyranny. Number 7, right of trial by jury in civil cases. Where's my jury? Where's my right to a jury for my civil case where my son has been taken from me for 10 years? My money has been taken from me for 10 years. I've been jailed, my car, the works, for 10 years. Where is it? Where's my jury to decide my fate for me? Because I can tell you, there's a reason why the civil cases don't have a jury. And these newer laws don't give you the right to a jury with civil cases. This is a well-coordinated attack, and it goes deep. Remember, these rules, Title 4D of Social Security, look it up yourself, they are designed, this is a well-coordinated, well-planned, long-term game that's being played. And we already know. I mean, history shows this to us. Tyranny is inevitable. People, when they see power, it's going to be abused. I'll give you an example. This is a quote I think most of us can recognize from the movie Spider-Man, but it doesn't originate there, of course, I don't think. With great power comes great responsibility. It was his uncle that said that to him, like when he was dying or something like that. With great power comes great responsibility. And that's what we have to understand. The governmental entity, which is a collection of millions of people, okay, combined with rules that we all are supposed to follow. All we have to do is change the rule set we're following. And in reality, I've done a great deal of research on this. If we were to remove all the laws that violate the Constitution right now, some might say, oh, that'll be chaotic, it'll be crazy, it'll be nonsense. No, actually, funny enough, it would only help the average Americans. It would only help the business owners. It would only help every single person in this country if we were to actually completely get rid of the laws that violate our constitutional rights. Now, I'm not saying just get rid of them and call it a day. No. Some of these, there's lots of gray areas. They need to be addressed appropriately. So, as we remove the law, we would exchange it, right? Not just removing it, we're exchanging it for a law that is in line with the Constitution, in line with the rights of the citizens, in line with the natural laws of this world, as a replacement to it, if even needed. Because I can tell you, there is a great deal of these laws that not only aren't needed, but they're literally only there to line somebody's pockets. We need to get this really, really in depth. Next, number 8. Freedom from excessive bail, cruel and unusual punishments. I mean, it's pretty cruel and unusual for the fact that I was 18 years old, a kid myself, pretty much ignorant to the world, had my child taken from me, was enforced to pay 25 to 50% of my income simply because I had a child and I'm not with the mother. Like, that's exactly how that went down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hello? I've been subjected to this slavery my entire life. And it is just that. It's slavery. It's involuntary servitude to rules and regulations that violate my rights, that violate the natural law. And that's a big part of the reason why people are going crazy. They're losing their minds because there is no moral compass. There is no sense of security because you're being told, oh, you got to believe in the government, believe in us. No, believe in God, believe in truth, believe in morality. So I'm going to read this to you real quick. My Second Amendment, my Fourth Amendment, my Fifth Amendment, my Sixth, my Seventh, Eighth, Ninth, and 10th Amendments. So 8 out of the 10 amendments are, and really I could even make an argument for the first one because of my religion, that even that's being violated as well. But because that is one of the biggest gray areas that we're ever going to experience, I'm trying to keep that out of it to really stick with the areas that aren't gray and they're clear as day. So literally 8 out of the 10 rights, my rights, remember this, these are rights. I was born with this right, according to the government, are egregiously being violated. I'm being forced involuntary servitude to pay child support and to also not be able to have my son equal time. Number 9 and number 10, which are part of the two that are being violated, is basically number 9 in a broad sense is number 9 and 10 in combined are in a broad sense saying everything outside of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that power outside of that is reserved to the states and to the people. So the individual states have powers to say, wait a minute, we don't want this to be a part of what's going on, so we reserve our right to maintain that freedom, that power, whatever it is that the state wants. But in addition to that, and this is important, this is the key, the final barricade created, a wall created by our founding fathers to prevent the tyranny, is stating clear as day, all the power resides to the people. That's in the amendments, it's in the foundation of this country, it's in every bit of literature you can find as to why this country was created, why we left the tyranny and the monarchy to create our own free country. Like that. Remember, we came here and we created a country through bloodshed, through fighting, through arguing, through all these other different things. And eventually, we finally came to a resolution in 1776 where we declared this country. And it was founded so beautifully, so well articulated. That's why it stood the test of time. And now, because of the lack of education and the blatant ignorance of humanity in general, like as a whole, we are bringing ourselves to a place that is not going to be pretty. It's not going to be good. So number 9 is basically the rights are to the people. Number 10, the power reserved to the states. Those are kind of in a combination, actually added at the very tail end as the compromise between the two sides, creating our country as the founding fathers. And it's really, really important that we understand these basics, and we need to understand that the final stand of defense for our freedom, for this country, for our way of life, for our children's way of life, for our children's children's way of life, is us, the people, the average person, the business owner, the doctor, the garbage man, the factory worker, the fast food worker. It doesn't matter what job you have. It is your duty, your utmost duty to yourself, to your children, to your country, to stand firm in your morals, in your rights, and your freedom. I'm going to close with this, and I think this is really important to conclude what I'm talking about. Not a single person on this planet chose to be born to the parents they were born to the country they were born to the environment they were born to, any of it. We all randomly just showed up here, okay? How and why, I'm not really here to debate that, okay? That's a whole nother conversation. I'd love to have that conversation, but not in this context. Because in this context, we're focused on reality, the foundations of this country, and what's actually been happening, and how our freedoms and rights have been curtailed, and we're being enslaved right before our eyes. We have to unite. We have to find a way to come together on these foundations, on the foundations of the country, on the foundations of our natural laws, the laws of nature, on our natural morality that we all feel within ourselves. Like I stated earlier, when you do something wrong, okay, when you lie, you get that feeling inside of you. You're like, oh, it hurts. It's not right. There's something wrong there. And we are literally separating ourselves from that. We're denying, and we have to accept it. It's not about religion. It's not about government. It's not about what I believe or you believe. These are things that are constant within us. Whether we want it to be there or not, it is a moral obligation that resides within us. I believe it's because of God and the creation of this. That doesn't mean, whether I believe that or not, it's still easy to see. If you have any historical understanding, if you have any basic science understanding, you're going to see that what's happening here is so far off the wall. We need to stop. We need to move backwards a little bit to go forward. And what I mean by that is, that's how all things work. That's how your daily life works, right? You push, and you go through these barriers. These barriers are little setbacks. It's this little, things are going well, and all of a sudden you get a flat tire on the side of the road. What do? You sit there and cry on the side of the road? Or no, you take action. You pull out the jack, you lift the car up, and you put the spare tire on. Or you are blessed enough to be able to call the tow truck, and the tow truck guy can come and change the tire for you. Your insurance company even has programs to where all you got to do is make the phone call, and they'll send somebody out for you. Either way, in that specific instance, you took action. You did something. You were set back by the tire. You were slowed down, and then you took action to get back going forward. And this is what we need to do on the largest scale possible, and it's extremely important. We need to go back to the foundations, to our morals, to our obvious truths, and we need to use those as our guide. We need to use that as the guide to the future, because without that, we really have nothing. Without your friends, without your family, without the laughter, without the fun, without the enjoyment, there's nothing left. It's going to be tyranny. It's going to be evil upon this planet, and we have to start working hard within ourselves as individuals to come together and stand for our basic rights, our basic freedoms, despite our differences, despite what we might believe differently. The rights are there. They're clear, plain English. There's no misinterpreting your right, okay? If you're misinterpreting it, then your moral compass has been lost, and you need to find it. Hopefully this makes some kind of sense, and I can't help but try to get out here that, I am subjected to the tyranny every day, right now as we speak. My freedoms are being grotesquely taken from me, and they have been for a long time. My entire adult life, 18 to 29 years old, here I sit, still enslaved to this. And this is just one of the basic things that we can petition to change if we unite. Just the basic. Stop using our kids to extract money and separate families. So I hope you guys all have a blessed, wonderful day. I'm sharing this with love and truth.